The human brain is just this incredible, intricate universe. We're talking about 3 pounds of tissue that holds everything: our memories, our personalities, our very selves. It's amazingly resilient, but at the same time, it is devastatingly fragile. And when a blood vessel inside of it bursts, well, the results can be catastrophic. Today, we're going to explore a new frontier in medicine, one that doesn't just try to manage the damage from this kind of stroke, but actually aims to rebuild what was lost. Okay, just look at this number for a second. 47%. It's chilling. This is the 28-day mortality rate for a really severe type of stroke called an intracerebral hemorrhage, or ICH. Think about that. Nearly 1 in 2 people who suffer this specific kind of brain bleed won't survive the first month. And for those who do survive, the fight is often just getting started. About 75% are left with permanent, life-altering neurological problems. And we're not just talking about a statistic here. We're talking about the loss of movement, of speech, of independence. The impact on people and their families is just immense. So this brings us to the big question, the one that's driving a whole revolution in neurorepair. For decades, treatment has been all about damage control, stopping the bleed, reducing the swelling. But now, researchers are asking something way more profound. Can we move beyond simple repair and actually enter an age of regeneration? All right, first, let's get a handle on the enemy here. An intracerebral hemorrhage is when you have spontaneous bleeding inside the brain tissue itself. This isn't like a typical stroke caused by a clot. This is a rupture. A blood vessel literally breaks and blood just floods into a place where it absolutely, positively should not be. The thing is, the initial damage from the pressure of that blood clot, the hematoma, that's just the beginning. This timeline shows the real problem. In the hours and days that follow, that clot basically becomes a toxic bomb. As it breaks down, it releases all these substances that poison the surrounding tissue, and that kicks off a massive inflammatory response. This creates a whole second wave of cell death, which is exactly why just stopping the bleed is never enough. So current medical and surgical treatments are fighting a serious uphill battle. They do what they can. They try to control blood pressure, reduce brain swelling, and in some cases, surgically remove the clot. But they have a very, very limited ability to restore the neurological function that's already gone. They just can't undo the damage. And this is what's leading to a completely new strategy, one that tackles both the primary and the secondary injury with this powerful 1-2 punch. Step 1, clean up the disaster site with surgical precision. And step 2, send in a biological construction crew to rebuild the entire neighborhood. So stage 1, this precision decompression, is all about clearing out that toxic blood clot. But let's be real. Operating in the deep, delicate structures of the brain is incredibly risky. It demands a whole new level of precision that we just didn't have before. And this is where you can really see the leap forward. On the left, you've got traditional open skull surgery, which honestly can sometimes cause as much damage as it solves. But on the right, you have a robotic system like NaoTrac. Think of it like a neurosurgical GPS. It uses optical guidance for sub-millimeter accuracy, letting surgeons navigate the safest possible path to the clot and remove over 80% of it, all through a minimally invasive procedure. It's a game changer. Now, this is not just about relieving pressure. By precisely removing the source of that toxic secondary injury cascade, you're fundamentally changing the whole environment. You're basically detoxifying the site and prepping the ground for the truly revolutionary next step, the rebuilding phase. Okay, so the disaster zone is cleared out and prepped. Now it's time to bring in the construction crew. And this isn't just any crew. We're talking about a team of highly specialized biological builders that come from one of the most powerful tools in modern medicine, stem cells. This is where induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPSCs, come into play. This is Nobel Prize-winning technology that lets scientists take one of your adult cells, like from your skin, and literally rewind its developmental clock. It becomes a stem cell that can turn into any cell type in the body. For this therapy, they're guided to become neural stem cells, or iNSCs, which are the brain's very own building blocks. Right. So not all stem cells are created equal for this particular job. You might have heard of mesenchymal stem cells, or MSCs, and they're great supporters. They release anti-inflammatory stuff and protect the cells that are still hanging on. But the iNSCs, they're different. They aren't just the cheerleaders, they're the actual players on the field. They have this incredible potential to actually become new neurons and integrate into the brain, directly rebuilding the circuits that were wiped out. This quote just captures the whole concept perfectly. After a brain bleed, you're left with a physical cavity, right? A gap where neural pathways used to be. Well, these transplanted INSCs can literally form a biobridge, filling in that gap and creating a scaffold that guides the surviving nerve fibers to regrow and reconnect. I mean, this isn't just patching a hole. This is about reestablishing the brain's communication lines. We're talking about potentially restoring the very functions that were lost. So we've got these two amazing technologies, the robotic cleanup crew and the biological rebuilding crew. But the real breakthrough, the real synergy, happens when you put them together. Because this combination solves one of the single biggest problems in all of regenerative medicine. It's the ultimate delivery problem, right? You have this amazing living medicine, these powerful stem cells. But how on earth do you get them past all the body's defenses and deliver them with pinpoint accuracy to this tiny, damaged spot deep inside the brain, all without causing more harm? Well, it turns out that just injecting stem cells into the bloodstream is surprisingly inefficient for brain repair. Most of them get trapped in the lungs. It's a phenomenon called the pulmonary first-pass effect. So, the solution? You use the NaoTrac robot again. After it cleans out the clot, it uses that same sub-millimeter precision to deliver the INSCs directly to the injury site. It's the ultimate special delivery, making sure the construction crew arrives exactly where it needs to be. And what this creates is a completely new way of thinking about treatment, attacking the problem from 3 angles all at once. The robot handles the precision decompression, the INSCs provide the cellular regeneration by building that biobridge, and on top of that, those same cells have a powerful anti-inflammatory effect, which calms down that whole secondary injury mess. It's a fundamental shift from just damage control to true, multifaceted, functional restoration. This combination of robotics and regenerative biology is, well, it's opening a door to a future that we could barely even imagine a decade ago. But, like with any new frontier, there are still some challenges to overcome on the path from the lab to the clinic. Of course, researchers are hard at work on these next steps. The brain after an injury is a pretty hostile environment, so they're developing biomaterials like hydrogels to protect the transplanted cells and help them survive. Safety is absolutely paramount, so it requires super strict quality control to prevent any risk of tumors. And managing the immune system is always a key factor. These are the crucial hurdles that need to be cleared before this therapy can become widely available. Which brings us to our final thought. This combination, precision robotics to clear the way and advanced cell therapy to rebuild what was lost, it represents a truly fundamental shift. It's a move from just accepting the finality of a brain injury to actually challenging it head on. And it really makes you wonder, are we on the cusp of an era where the word permanent just doesn't apply to brain damage anymore? The answer isn't here yet, but for the very first time, the question itself feels entirely possible.